Welcome to lecture number 59, case studies in object oriented programming. So, in this case study, what we can do in Java, I will talk about the employee payroll system, right. The main objective is to build a system to manage employee payrolls using OOP in Java. So, the key features are employee hierarchy. So, the employee may be permanent, may be contract, those who are doing internship, right. So, you call it as employee hierarchy. Then we have dynamic salary calculation, right, based on employee type, right. So, because the salary will be differing from different people and there may be bonus for different hierarchy, right. So, in that case we are going to have the dynamic salary calculation. So, for secure information handling we are going to use data encapsulation. So, we know that, right, the getter function, setter function, suppose you are using from outside the class, right, there are private member data, so which cannot be accessed. So, we use data encapsulation. So, then for saving and loading employee data we use serialization. So, these are all the main key features, and the use cases are we manage payrolls in organization of different sizes, right. So, we take a, let us say for example any university or any company, right. So, those organization where you will have different sizes, right. So, this we have to manage, and we have to simplify the salary calculations and the storage of all the information about the employee. So, now we are going to have these modules in the high level design. We are going to have the modules like employee. So, employee is a base abstract class, right, for common attributes, and in the derived class you will have permanent employee, contract employee and intern. Okay. So, this will be in the derived class employee types, and the payroll which is managing salary calculations and summaries, right. So, in the payroll we will have salary calculations and summary, and the data handler which handles input output file for saving or loading employee data. So, these are all the important modules that we are going to see, and what are the OOP concepts that we are going to use? Abstract classes for shared attributes, interfaces, right. So, first time in the case study we are using interfaces, right. It is a 100% abstract, we can see over interfaces. So, the salary computation logic we use interface, and for the data security encapsulation. So, these concepts we use, right, to solve the problem, right. So, we are writing the code based on abstract classes, interfaces and encapsulation. So, these are all the important classes, right. So, what are all the classes? We have employee class. Employee class you have, that will be called as the abstract class, right, and permanent employee, contract employee, intern will be the derived class, you call it as a specialized employee types. Payroll will be another class, so that is handling salary calculation. Data handler, that is managing that input output file for employee data. So, as I said, employee is abstract class and permanent employee, contract employee, interns will be derived classes, and payroll computing the salary based on the employee type, and the data handler will save and retrieve the employee data. So, let us go to the employee abstract class, all right. So, here you have Java input output serializable, this is you are importing. We have an abstract class called employee, right. So, this employee implements serializable, right, inbuilt class, right. So, this implements serializable, and you have a private member data name and a private member data ID whose data types are strings. So, now you have constructor, right. So, under constructor you have name and ID, this example we had seen several times, and name is assigned to this dot name and ID is assigned to this dot ID, right. So, you have a method called get name is returning name and get ID is returning ID, okay. And here you have the abstract method called calculate salary, right. So, in the inheritance, further inheritance, this will be defined. So, this is your employee class, and now you have a permanent employee, so which is extending employee. So, here you have employee, alright. So, which is in fact here the implement serializable. So, serializable is a interface, right. Serializable is nothing but interface, this is interface, I will write it, okay. And here employee is the abstract class, and now the permanent employee is inheriting employee. So, I put PE, PE stands for permanent employee. Okay. So, permanent employee is the class and here you have base salary, right. So, base salary it's a private member data whose data type is double and here you have the constructor permanent employee. So, here you have name, ID and base salary. Okay. All right. The super method or super keyword. So, you have name comma ID. So, that means it will invoke the super class. So, what is your super class? Employee is your super class, the base class or super class. So, this dot name will be assigned to this dot name and ID will be assigned to this dot ID. So, we know the meaning of that. So, now right those two name and ID was taken care and base salary will be assigned to this dot base salary, right. So, we have calculate salary in the super class, right, that is in fact abstract method and here we are defining in permanent employee, right. So, base salary plus 0.2 that means the 20% benefits 0.2 into base salary fine and you have a get base salary, the get base salary will return base salary that is the usual method in the permanent employee class. And then you have contract employee. So, contract employee is also extending employee. So, we call it a CE, right. So, here, so you have C, C is also extending employee, C is also, C stands for contract employee, right. So, here you have two private member data hourly rate whose data type is double and hours worked whose data type is integer. And here you go the contract employee is the constructor. So, the constructor as name string, ID string and hourly rate that is double. So, 4 parameters hours worked that is another parameter, all right. So, here we call it as an argument, right. This is the constructor, right, and then you have a super class constructor will be called in line number 6. So, that means this dot name equal to name, this dot ID is equal to ID that is the meaning and this dot hourly rate equal to hourly rate that means this will be stored here and hours worked will be stored in this dot hours worked. Again the calculate salary will be overridden right from the super class and hourly rate will be multiplied by hours worked, right, and get hourly rate will return hourly rate and get hours worked will return hours worked, right. So, this is contract employee class and the last one the intern, right, the intern class is extending employee. So, intern is also extending employee. So, these three classes is inheriting employee that is the meaning, right. So, here you have private member data stipend under double and here you have name, ID, stipend, right, 3 argument constructor and here you have name and ID super. So, that means this dot name equal to name and this dot ID equal to ID and line number 6 you have stipend is assigned to this dot stipend, okay, and calculate salary will be overridden return stipend, right, it is a fixed stipend. So, that is what we call it as a hierarchy, right, all the 3 are getting different salaries that is why dynamic calculation and then get stipend will return stipend. So, this is the employee class and then we will have payroll class. So, in the payroll class you have employees, right, which is array list. I am importing array list, right, whose class is array list that means array list of employee and here you have the constructor payroll, right, constructor payroll this object employees, all right, dynamically allocated memory with the constructor array list, right. Here you have the method, right. So, the method we have an argument employee under class employee, small e object and capital E is the class, right, that argument and then you are adding employee array list you can add that means employee is invoking which is invoking add function by putting employee that means you put suppose there are employees E1, E2, E3 etc. En, right, it is like this. So, you may have several whatever list you use it is fine. So, now here you have generate payroll method and the employee is assigned to EMP. So, this you call it as EMP So, the base class, I mean to say the base address is a Java, right? Identity hash map of both employees and EMP are same, right? So, now you are printing, it's a range for loop, right? So, for all the cases it will print, right? Name, get ID, right? Calculate salary, right? So, this will do. So, accordingly, right? So, this will do, right? So, here you have maybe one example we can see get name. When EMP is invoking get name, right? So, EMP is under employees, employees under array list, right? So, get name, right? So, here you have get name will return name and get ID will return ID, and then you will have calculate salary, right? So, accordingly, right, EMP. So, EMP is under employee, right? So, EMP is under employee, right? So, calculate salary. So, it will calculate this abstract method over here, and this will do accordingly, right? Whether it is an intern or a contract employee or permanent employee. So, accordingly, this will calculate the salary. Okay. So, this is your printing system.out.println, you are printing this, and then here it will return. So, here having get employees, right, array list. So, that is a get employees method whose return type is array list. So, this will return employees, right. So, this will return employees. So, employees is of array list. Okay. So, this is your payroll class, right. So, this is your payroll class. So, the next one is the data handler class. So, here we are importing all the utilities and array list. The star indicates whatever utility you want, it will be taken care, right. Input output with whatever utility and array list utility. So, now let us have the class data handler, alright. So, here you have a method called save employees. So, under save employees we have two arguments employees is under array list and file name under string, okay, file name under string. So, now we use try throw catch, so try. So, you are creating writer under buffered writer, right, under buffered writer. Dynamically allocating a memory with buffered writer is the constructor, right. So, under constructor you have file writer by passing file name, right. So, here you are passing the file name. So, now it is a range for loop, right. Now, employees will be copied into EMP, right. So, that means both identity hash maps are same. First your line put a null, right, or no character. If employee EMP instance of permanent employee, that means if employee is equal to permanent employee, that equivalent statement. So, then permanent is assigned to line, right, permanent is assigned to line plus you get the name, employee is invoking get name, then you have comma, it is all printing, and then EMP is invoking get ID, right, again one comma. So, then you are typecasting, so this permanent employee of your EMP, okay. So, EMP will be now whatever, right, the role of permanent employee. So, that can take over EMP, it is like a typecasting, you put int of a, right, like this, right. So, this is now that EMP, it is like a permanent employee which is invoking get base salary, right. So, get base salary, right. So, it is equivalent to permanent employee, I will just write PE dot get base salary. So, whatever be the basic salary will that particular method will be invoked, right. So, that particular method will be invoked, right. So, this is what up to here we have done, right. Else if this employee is contract employee, right. So, the line will be contract comma, you are getting the name, right, employee get ID and the contract employee dot get hourly rate, that means it is a kind of typecasting, right, and employee dot get hours worked, right. So, all these will be called and then you can see the line will contain contract, let us say some name x, comma is our ID and hourly rate and get hours worked. So, all will be one line. So, the line is nothing but a string, right. So, that we defined in line number 8. Else if employee is an intern, alright, in that case line will be intern EMP dot get name, you have comma and EMP dot get ID and intern is invoking get stipend, that means EMP is invoking get stipend equal like this, alright. So, this is what up to line number 15. Now, the writer object which is invoking the write function by passing line. So, now you have line. So, either one of the employees will be there, right, it is invoking line, right, and then writer will invoke new line, right. So, in case any exception, that means assume that I am not able to open the file, all right, file writer you are passing the file name does not exist or file name we are not able to open, right. So, in that case it will throw the exception, right, and it will be caught here the error saving employees. So, whatever be the message that we are passing, so that will be caught. Okay. So, this is the error handling exception. And the next method you have load employees, right. So, the load employees, the return type is array list and you have file name, you are passing the file name string. You have employees object under array list, right. So, dynamically allocating a memory with constructor array list. Okay. So, now again you are trying, right. So, reader try reader the object, buffer reader the class, the right hand side you are allocating a memory with the constructor and file reader will do the file name exactly like last case, right. So, line is string. So, now while line equal to reader dot read line as far as, right. So, you are able to read the line, right, which is not equal to null, right, not at the end of the line or next line. So, now parts, right, string of parts, right, this is array, right. So, parts is an array whose data type is string. So, right hand side line is invoking split, right. So, line is invoking split. So, whenever you find comma, all right. So, this will split, all right. So, suppose I have the line, right, a comma b comma c, I split into a b c, right, and then you are putting parts of 0, all right. First one a you put type, comma will be removed, parts 1 b name and c id, right. So, you put it in array, right. Suppose I have a comma b comma c, I am just giving an example, right, it can be anything, a b c can be anything, right. In the line we had seen, right, get id, salary, etc. So, now part 0 is a 0th index, first index is 1, parts of 1 and parts of 2 is c, that is the meaning, all right. If type is invoking equals, let us say permanent, right, you may get permanent or contract or intern, right. So, suppose that is equal to permanent, right. So, that means the first part, right, I mean to say parts of 0 you are assigned to type, right. If the object type under string or you call it as a variable type under string which invokes equals permanent, right. So, that means if it is equal to permanent, so then double is invoking parse double of parts of 3, right. So, parts of 3 what you have, right. So, you will have the salary, right, parts of 3 will be salary. So, that salary will be assigned to base salary, right. So, parts of 3, so whatever be, let us say it is a string, so that string is converted into double, parse double, right. So, now base salary will be double, that is the meaning, right, and you are adding the employee, all right. So, here you have permanent employee, the constructor permanent employee will be called, you are passing name, id and base salary, right. So, that is what we are doing over here. So, these we are doing for data persistence, right. So, yes, if the type dot equals, let us say this is not permanent, right, suppose it is contract, all right, again we are doing. So, what we do, the parts 3, right, that will be converted into hourly rate, right, parts of 3, it is a string, convert into double, parse double will convert to double. So, that means the double when it is invoking this and hourly rate is now double. And here parse int, the integer parse int, that means parts 4 is a string, the string will be converted into integer, that is hours worked, all right. So, now employees is invoking add, all right. So, you are adding, you are keep on adding the employees, all right. So, contract employee name, id, hourly rate and hours worked. So, this particular constructor will be called and we had seen this, right. Else if the type dot equals is intern, right, in that case parts 3, so which is parse double, so the stipend will be double, so this will be assigned. So, this is a string convert into double, so double will be assigned to stipend, right, and then the constructor will be called, alright. That means employees is invoking add, intern constructor will be called, you are passing name, ID and stipend, right. So, in case any problem, that means when I am doing this line number 26, right, I am not able to read the file or the file name does not exist. So, then the exception will be caught here. So, error loading employees and whatever the message, that message will be printed, alright. Otherwise, it will return employees. So, now go to the main program. So, main program, right. So, this is a driver class and payroll is an object, right. So, payroll is an object under payroll class, right. So, here you have the constructor payroll, that is a default constructor. So, now I am adding the employees, right, add employee. So, here Alice P101 5000 is a permanent employee, right. So, name, ID and salary, permanent employee. I will just go, we will just recall because we had seen so many, right. So, employee, permanent employee, name, ID and base salary. So, name and ID, it will be, right, assigned from the super class, right. That means this dot name Alice, this dot ID P101, right. So, these will be copied, right. So, this we are passing. So, permanent employee, and next one is contractor, you can put E1, right. So, let us say E1 is Alice. Then we are adding payroll, right, will invoke add employee. So, next one is a contract employee Bob C202, right, 20 and 100, right, contract employee, we will just see, right, name, ID, hourly rate and hours worked, right. So, here the salary, calculation of salary is different, right, hourly rate dot hours worked, alright. So, Bob C202 20 100. So, 4 parameters we are passing, and the next one is add employee, payroll is invoking add employee. So, here it is the intern Charlie, intern I303 and 1500, okay. So, it is hourly 100 and here it is fixed 1500, right. So, in the case of intern, we have name, ID and stipend, name, ID and stipend. So, here you go, the name is Charlie, ID is 303 and stipend is 1500, right. So, now system.out.println, and this I am printing payroll summary, and the payroll is invoking generate payroll, right. So, payroll is invoking generate payroll. So, here you go, payroll class which is invoking generate payroll, right, under payroll, right. So, here you have the object payroll under payroll, right. So, we see in the payroll class, right. So, you will have this particular method, right. So, we will see the payroll class, under payroll class we have generate payroll, right. So, whatever the employees, 3 employees we have used, right. So, accordingly, right. So, accordingly you have get name, get ID and the calculate salary, right. So, here you have 3 different employees, one is a permanent employee, that means the permanent employee constructor will be called, another contract employee, that particular constructor will be called intern, right. So, when you are calculating a salary, that particular method. So, accordingly, right. So, you have 3 subclasses, right. Employee is a superclass, you have permanent subclass, contract subclass, and for the intern you have the subclass, right. So, this will call and then generate the payroll, right. This is not very difficult, and saving the employee data. So, you have employees object under array list, right. So, this is the constructor, array list constructor passing payroll and get employees, right. So, here we have payroll and get employees. So, these are all the employees that you have been added, and the payroll is invoking get employees means. So, here you have in the payroll class, right. So, get employee. So, that will return employees, right. So, this will return employees. So, there are 3 employees, the names will be returned, all right. So, here the payroll dot employee, this you are passing in fact, right, payroll dot get employees. So, this you are passing. So, all the employees list have been passed, right. And here data handler, this particular object which is invoking save employees, right. So, you are passing employees and then a file name, right. So, you are pausing employees, this is an object and here you have the constructor. So, this is invoking get employees. So, whatever be the employees, let us say E1, E2, E3, right, and then save employees. So, all the employees will be saved in the text file, the text file called employees.txt. So, line number 21 your system.out.println. So, this will be printed, loading employee data will be printed, and here you have loaded employees, which is the object under the class array list of employee, right, and in the right hand side, correct. So, right hand side you have the data handler is invoking load employees, all right, and then you are passing employees.txt, right, you are passing employees.txt. So, that you have created in line number 18, all right. So, then you are printing loaded employees, and this is the range for loop. So, the loaded employees and EMP, right. So, they are pointing to the same hash map, and you are printing get name, right, and then here you have get ID, right. So, get ID and calculate salary, right. So, according to the employees, so this particular constructor anyway you have, right. So, based on this constructor, and since this is the overridden function, right, or overridden method, so calculate salary will be computed accordingly, right, which constructor you are going, all right. So, permanent employee constructor you go, so there you will have the calculate salary, so that will be calculated, and similarly for contract employee and similarly for intern, right. So, this will be calculated, right. So, this is about your driver class payroll system demo. In fact, it is a main method, all right. So, now we have seen, right. So, you have seen so many classes and so many methods, and this is the main method, and when you go through, right, line by line, and in fact, we will also work it out when you run the code, right. So, you have to get the output like this, right. So, all the calculation, right. So, what about the salary, right, the get salary will be called accordingly, you can check, right. So, whatever you are passing, that particular get salary method will be called overridden method. So, accordingly the salary will be printed, fine. So, this is what we will get. Now, what we can do, we will run the code in the Java compiler. I will go to Java. So, the same code we have written as payroll system demo, right. So, when we run the code, we will get the output like this, okay. These are the output we are getting, okay. So, now we will see the text file, right, what it is being written, employees.txt, right. So, this is what employees.txt, this we are getting, okay. So, the alias ID, right, all the informations we have. So, this is what being written in the text file. So, we have seen the complete case study. In fact, we had seen 2 case studies, right, using Java. So, now in this problem, what are all the challenges you are facing, all right. So, challenges is dynamic salary calculation, right. So, we have seen 3 different types of employees, permanent, contract and intern, right. So, how to do the dynamic salary calculation, right. So, for this solution, right, so we had given was we use polymorphism, right, the overriding, and then abstract methods. And the second challenge is data persistence. So, for the data persistence, right, so we use serialization for saving or loading employee data. So, this I mentioned, right, I talked about the data persistence, and we have used so many times the try throw catch, right. So, this will handle the exception. So, the solution we had given, we have implemented this with robust exception handling, all right. So, this case study we have developed a payroll system using object oriented principles. So, what you can do, what my advice is, you try to extend this code, all right. So, put more employee category, all right, and also, right. So, when you are overriding, right, so how to change the or how to calculate the salary for different people, and also, right. So, whatever be the problems that we face, the challenges that we face, what you can do, you can further extend, right. So, you can further work it on data persistence, and also and still you can elegantly handle the errors with the exceptions. So, what my advice is, try to extend, all right, or you can see the small companies, what are all the other things you left out in this particular problem. So, you can add it, right. So, we have used abstract classes and polymorphism for salary calculations, and here you had seen serialization concept for loading and saving the employee data, and we have used the error handling exceptions, the try throw catch we have used for if the file is invalid or file itself is input wrong or the file does not exist. So, in this case, so we have used the robust error handling exception, right, and also we had a modular design, right. So, that enables scalability for future enhancements, right. So, these are all the concepts. So, in fact, we have implemented this and we have seen the problem of payroll system, right. So, this we have developed using the concepts that you have studied in object oriented programming, all right. So, with this I am concluding this particular lecture. Thank you.